She signed the marriage license with a pen that didn't work the first time. The room smelled like lilies and polish, too clean for something that felt so wrong. Emma Collins kept her eyes on the paper, not on the man in the wheelchair beside her, not on her mother's trembling hands, not on the lawyer who smiled like this was a favor. Mrs. Hayes, the clerk said, testing the name. Emma swallowed. She hadn't even said yes out loud. The agreement had been decided weeks ago in a hospital hallway when the bills piled higher than hope. Marry the reclusive CEO, secure the loan, save the house. Simple. The man beside her didn't look at her. Nathaniel Hayes sat perfectly still, hands folded, dark suit tailored to hide everything beneath it. His eyes were sharp, unreadable, fixed on a point past the wall. The ceremony took 8 minutes. No vows, no kiss. Just signatures and the quiet click of a stamp. When it was over, Emma stood too fast. Her mother hugged her like an apology. "You'll be okay," she whispered, though neither of them believed it. Nathaniel finally spoke as they left the courthouse. His voice was calm, controlled. "The car is waiting." Outside, cameras flashed once, then disappeared. The driver opened the door, careful, deferential. Emma slid in, heart racing, hands clenched in her lap. The mansion gates closed behind them with a sound that felt final. Inside, the house was quiet in a way that pressed on her ears. Staff moved like ghosts, eyes down, footsteps soft. Nathaniel's wheelchair rolled smoothly across marble floors, faster than she expected. A housekeeper showed Emma to a bedroom at the far end of the hall. "Mr. Hayes sleeps separately," she said quickly, as if reciting a rule. Emma nodded, relief and unease tangling together. Later, alone, she sat on the edge of the bed and stared at her phone. No messages, no congratulations, just the echo of a choice she couldn't undo. A soft sound came from the hallway. Wheels, then footsteps. Emma held her breath. The footsteps paused outside her door, and then, unmistakably, walked away. Emma exhaled slowly, pressing her palm to her chest. Somewhere in the house, a door closed. Somewhere closer, fabric shifted. She told herself it was nothing. Still, sleep refused her, and the night felt awake, listening to every thought she tried bury. They shared a house without sharing a life. Nathaniel did not appear at breakfast. A note sat beside the coffee machine. Precise handwriting. Meetings. Eat. Rest. The kitchen felt staged, like a model home. Emma poured cereal she didn't want and listened to the clock. At 10, a woman introduced herself as Clara, the household manager. She spoke gently, explained schedules, rules, doors to remain closed, no visitors without notice. Nathaniel's wing was private. Emma nodded, storing questions she wasn't allowed to ask. By afternoon, boredom pressed in. Emma wandered the library, trailed spines with her fingers, stopped at a window overlooking the drive. A black SUV arrived. Nathaniel returned, chair gliding inside, suit unwrinkled. He paused when he saw her. "You don't need to wait," he said. "I wasn't," she replied, then flushed. He inclined his head. "Dinner is at 7. They ate across a long table. He asked about her classes, her mother, nothing that mattered. She noticed how he watched reflections instead of faces, how his hands were steady, strong, too strong. When she stood to clear her plate, he said, "Leave it." She did anyway. In the kitchen, a glass slipped. She gasped. Before the sound finished breaking, Nathaniel was there, not rolling, standing. His hand closed around the falling glass, caught it cleanly. Emma stared at his feet planted on tile, the chair a step behind him like a prop forgotten. He realized too late. For one breath, they were statues. Then he exhaled and sat, smooth, practiced. "Careful," he said, voice unchanged. Emma's heart hammered. "You moved fast." He met her gaze. "Adrenaline." She didn't argue. She nodded, backed away, felt foolish. Later, in her room, she replayed the moment until it blurred. Maybe she'd imagined it. Maybe stress rewrote memory. That night, Footsteps passed her door again. This time, they didn't stop. Emma lay awake, counting seconds, telling herself nothing was wrong, while the house breathed around her, hiding a truth that had already slipped. She thought of the loan papers, the signatures, the calm way he'd accepted her. She thought of how kindness could be a costume. Down the hall, a light clicked off. Emma turned her face to the pillow, promising herself she wouldn't look again. Promises, she was learning, were easier to make than to keep. Outside, the gates whispered shut, and the mansion settled, patient and watchful tonight too. Emma learned the rules by breaking none of them. She stayed in her wing, answered emails, took online classes, and learned the house's quiet language. Clara appeared with tea before Emma asked. The staff avoided Nathaniel's eyes and spoke to him like he might vanish if startled. At night, the security system sighed awake, a layered hum that never slept. The rules multiplied. Don't enter the west corridor. Don't move the wheelchair. Don't ask about the gym locked behind smoked glass. Don't notice the footprints near the pool. Emma noticed everything. On Wednesday, she followed the sound of water to the indoor pool. Moonlight cut across tiles. The wheelchair sat neatly by the door. Ripples moved the far end. She froze. A body cut through water, strong and clean. Nathaniel surfaced, hair slicked back, breath steady. He hadn't seen her yet. She stepped back, heart racing, and the water went still. Emma, he said calmly. She turned. He stood wrapped in a towel, the chair behind him again, perfectly placed. His gaze held hers, not cold now, but measuring. You shouldn't wander. I was lost, she said. He nodded. That happens. The next day, a delivery arrived addressed to her. Inside lay a phone with a single contact saved. N. Use this if you need anything. She stared at it, equal parts comforted and wary. At dinner, he asked, Do you feel safe? She hesitated. Yes. Good. He paused. Safety is the first promise. What's the second? She asked before she could stop herself. Privacy. He wheeled away, leaving her with the word like a locked door. That night, she heard raised voices behind the west corridor. A man's laughter, sharp. Nathaniel's voice, low and controlled. Not yet, he said. She doesn't know. Emma pressed her palm to the wall, shame burning. She retreated, pulse loud. In her room, she opened the phone. A message blinked in. I won't hurt you. Not ever. She typed, then erased, then typed again. Why lie? The reply came almost immediately. Because the truth needs timing. Emma set the phone down, hands shaking, understanding at last that this marriage wasn't about saving her family. It was about hiding a war she'd married into and deciding whether she would be shield or witness when it finally came for them both. The mansion waited, keeping secrets as Emma counted breaths, knowing choices would demand courage soon. Emma stopped pretending the house was ordinary. She watched Nathaniel more closely, cataloging what didn't fit. The chair always angled toward doors, shoes placed neatly by his bed, soles worn evenly, calluses at the base of his palms. When he reached for things, his weight shifted with practiced balance. She tested small moments, dropped a book near him, asked for help with a high shelf. He declined politely every time, eyes sharp, patience thin. The refusals felt deliberate. One afternoon, rain pinned her inside. She found the west corridor unlocked. The air changed past the threshold, cooler, metallic. Cameras tracked her steps. A gym hid behind smoked glass, lights dimmed. Inside, the floor bore scuffs and chalk dust. The smell of iron lingered. Footsteps sounded. Emma turned to find Nathaniel at the doorway, chair absent. Curiosity is expensive, he said. She steadied herself. So is lying. He considered her, then closed the door. You're not wrong. They stood facing each other, the truth finally between them. I can walk, he said quietly. I can run, I can fight. Her breath hitched. Why pretend? Because power attracts knives, he said. Because disappearing is safer than ruling. Safer for who? For you, he said without hesitation. The admission unsettled her more than the secret. "You married me to protect yourself," she said. "No," he replied. "I married you because you wouldn't sell me." She laughed once, incredulous. "You don't know me." "I do," he said. "You stayed when leaving was cheaper." Rain drummed harder. He took a step closer, careful, respectful. "You deserve a choice. Stay and keep my secret, or leave with everything your family needs." Emma thought of the hospital hallway, the pen that failed. The night footsteps lied. "If I stay," she said, "this becomes real." He nodded. "I know." She reached out, touched his sleeve, felt warmth and steadiness. "Then tell me who's hunting you." A knock interrupted them. Voices rose beyond the door. Nathaniel's eyes sharpened. "That choice," he said softly, "just arrived." Emma didn't move. The house seemed to lean in, listening. Somewhere, a phone vibrated and stopped. She squared her shoulders, heart steadying. Whatever he was hiding, she had stepped inside it. And if leaving had once saved her, staying now felt like the braver risk she was finally ready to take. Outside, headlights flashed briefly, then vanished, confirming nothing here would remain simple tonight. Emma slept light, the way you do when your name has been redefined. She woke to movement, fabric whispering, breath measured. Moonlight cut the room into silver planes. Nathaniel stood at the window, jacket off, shoulders squared, phone pressed to his ear. "No," he said quietly. "Not yet." She sat up. The word slipped out before fear could catch it. "Nathaniel." He turned. For a beat, he didn't reach for the chair. He didn't pretend. He walked to the bed and sat on the edge, hands open. "I wanted you to see," he said, "when it mattered." Her pulse slowed, oddly calm. "Who was that?" "My brother," he said. "And the men who think I'm weak." He told her then, sparing nothing. The accident staged to flush out traitors. The months spent invisible while the board circled. The wedding planned because public pity makes a perfect blindfold. "They watch the chair," he said, "not the man." Emma listened, anger and clarity threading together. "You used me. I used the story," he said. "I chose you." Footsteps sounded beyond the door. Nathaniel rose, swift and silent, and crossed the room to stand in front of her. "If they see me walk tonight, they'll strike." "Then don't," she said. "Let me." He frowned. "Let you what?" She grabbed the chair and shoved it into view, tipped a glass so it shattered, and called out, voice sharp. "Help." He fell. The door burst open. Two men froze at the sight. Nathaniel on the floor, Emma kneeling, hands shaking just enough. She met their eyes and let fear sell the lie. Minutes later, the house settled again. Nathaniel stood, awe flickering. "You're fast." "I'm tired," she said, "of being quiet." He touched her wrist, gentle. "I won't ask you to keep choosing this." She met his gaze. "I already did." Outside, a car pulled away. Inside, Emma breathed through the aftershock, realizing trust wasn't the absence of risk. It was deciding who you stand with when pretending stops working. She sat back on the bed, counting heartbeats, noticing how calm felt earned. Somewhere deep, fear loosened its grip. Tomorrow would ask for consequences, for names and signatures and courage in daylight. Tonight asked only for honesty. Emma lay down and slept, knowing morning would test her, and choosing to wake anyway. It would not be easy, but nothing worth keeping ever is at first glance. Morning brought consequences. Emma woke to the house alive with motion. Phones ringing, doors opening, the low murmur of men who sounded like they owned answers. Nathaniel waited for her in the study, jacket on, expression composed. He didn't ask if she was ready. He knew she was. "They think I staged the fall," he said. "It buys hours." "For what?" she asked. "For truth," he replied. He told her about the night the accident happened. A bored dinner, too much praise, a glass that tasted wrong, the crash on a private road that never made the news. When he woke, the driver was gone, the files missing, the brother silent. Power invites betrayal, he said. So I disappeared. By lying, Emma said. By surviving, he corrected. They drove to the old warehouse by the river, the one he supposedly never visited anymore. Inside, a wall slid open to reveal servers humming like a living thing. Clara stood there, eyes steady. "We're ready," she said. Nathaniel nodded. "Begin." Names surfaced, transfers, messages scrubbed and recovered. The accident wasn't meant to cripple him. It was meant to kill him. The chair had been a compromise, pity as camouflage. Emma felt the weight settle. "Your brother." "Yes," he said softly. "He wanted the company without the blood." Sirens wailed in the distance, then faded. Nathaniel watched the data roll like tide lines. "If I walk into daylight now," he said, "they'll say I deceived shareholders." "And if you don't," Emma said, "they'll keep hunting." He looked at her. "What would you do?" She thought of the hallway, the pen that failed, the glass she'd shattered without shaking. "I'd tell the truth," she said, "but on my timing." They returned to the mansion before noon. Cameras waited. Nathaniel rolled through the foyer, shoulders slumped just enough. Emma walked beside him, hand resting on the chair like an anchor. At the door, he whispered, "You don't owe me this." She met his eyes. "I owe myself." The press asked about his health. He smiled, careful. "I'm improving," he said. Emma felt the lie thin, the truth pressing. This wasn't over. It was aligning. She squared her shoulders and stepped forward, ready to stand where he couldn't, yet, and learned that courage isn't loud. It's precise. The house held its breath, and Emma held hers, knowing timing would decide who walked away intact by dusk and who would not. By evening, the mansion felt like a chessboard. Emma learned where to stand, where not to speak, how to watch reflections instead of faces. Nathaniel stayed in the chair all day, hands folded, patience ironclad. The cameras loved him like this, fragile, dignified, contained. The knock came just after sunset. Nathaniel's brother, Lucas Hayes, entered with practiced concern, suit immaculate, smile calibrated. He bent slightly, touching Nathaniel's shoulder like a benediction. "I heard about the fall," he said. "I came as soon as I could." Emma noticed what he didn't look at, the chair, the legs, the way Nathaniel's spine stayed too straight. "I'm fine," Nathaniel said. "You shouldn't worry." Lucas laughed softly. "I always worry about family." They sat in the living room, tea cooling between them. Lucas spoke of stability, of shareholders, of how public confidence was delicate. He spoke as if Nathaniel weren't there, as if Emma were furniture. "I think," Lucas said, finally glancing at her, "it might be best if Emma returned to her old life for a while, less scrutiny." The room tightened. Emma smiled. "I don't have an old life anymore?" Lucas's eyes sharpened. "That's unfortunate." Nathaniel's fingers flexed. Emma felt it before she saw it, the moment the lie began to crack. She stood, crossing the room deliberately, and placed a folder on the table. "Before anyone leaves," she said, "you should see this." Lucas frowned. "What is that?" "Insurance," Emma replied. She opened the folder. Bank transfers, shell companies, a timeline aligning with the night of the accident, Clara's work, precise and devastating. Lucas's smile slipped. "This is a mistake," he said. Emma leaned in. "You underestimated me." Lucas rose, anger flashing. "You think you're untouchable because you married him?" Nathaniel's voice cut in, calm and cold. "She's untouchable because she chose the truth." Silence fell. Lucas straightened his cuffs. "You'll regret this." Emma met his gaze. "So will you." When he left, the house exhaled. Nathaniel looked at Emma, something like wonder breaking through. "You stood between me and him." She shrugged, heart racing. "You taught me where to stand." Outside, engines started and disappeared. Emma realized then that protection wasn't always about strength. Sometimes it was about clarity, about seeing the move before it happened and refusing to step aside. Night settled, and with it, the sense that dawn would demand a reckoning neither of them could avoid much longer. The morning after felt quieter but heavier. Emma woke before dawn and found Nathaniel in the courtyard, sitting in the wheelchair, hands resting on his knees, staring at the pale line of sky. He looked older like this, tired in a way power couldn't smooth over. "You didn't sleep," she said. He smiled faintly. "Neither did you." They sat without touching, the distance newly fragile. What they'd done couldn't be undone. Lucas would retaliate. The board would move. The story would leak, bent, and sharpened for damage. "This is where it gets complicated," Nathaniel said, "when feelings make strategy messy." Emma watched a bird hop along the stone wall. "You think I don't know?" He turned to her. "You didn't sign up for this." "I didn't sign up for a lot of things," she said. "I stayed anyway." A message buzzed on his phone. He read it, jaw tightening. "The board called an emergency meeting, noon. They want answers." "And you'll give them," Emma said. "Yes," he replied. "All of it." She inhaled slowly. "Then don't hide anymore." He met her eyes. "If I stand in that room, everything changes." "Good," she said. "I'm tired of pretending." At the headquarters, the room filled fast. Suits, murmurs, cameras waiting outside like teeth. Nathaniel entered last, rolling to the head of the table. Emma took a seat behind him, hands folded, pulse steady. Lucas arrived late, smug, certain. Nathaniel didn't wait for permission. "Before we begin," he said evenly, "I have a statement." He placed his palms on the armrests and stood. The room erupted, gasps, chairs scraping, phones lifted. Lucas's face drained of color. Nathaniel stayed standing. "I survived an attempt on my life," he said. "I hid to identify those responsible. Today, that ends." Emma felt tears burn, unashamed. Not because he stood, but because he chose to. Documents circulated. Names named. The truth moved faster than lies ever could. When it was over, the room felt emptied. Lucas was escorted out shouting hollow threats. The board sat stunned. Outside, sunlight hit Nathaniel's face. He exhaled, long and free. Emma stepped beside him. "Whatever comes next," she said, "I'm not a shield." He nodded. "I don't want one." He took her hand openly for the first time. Not ownership, not rescue, partnership. Emma realized then that love hadn't softened him, it had clarified him. And clarity, she knew, was the most dangerous thing of all. They didn't rush the ending. After the board meeting, the world reassembled itself slowly, like a city after a storm. Headlines argued, analysts speculated. The stock dipped, then steadied. Nathaniel refused interviews. Emma returned to the mansion and opened the windows, letting air move through rooms that had learned too many secrets. They learned each other in small ways. He made coffee too strong. She folded towels the same way every time. At night, he asked before touching her hand, like consent was a language he'd decided to speak fluently. She noticed. It mattered. When the court filings came, Nathaniel read them once and set them aside. "This will take time," he said. Emma nodded. "I'm good at time." They visited her mother on Sundays. The house smelled like soup and worry. Her mother watched Nathaniel carefully, then surprised Emma by smiling. "You stand straighter," she said to her daughter. Emma laughed, unsure if that was true or simply earned. One evening, Emma found the wheelchair folded in the garage, not hidden, not discarded, just waiting. Nathaniel stood beside it, thoughtful. "I don't want to pretend it never existed," he said. "It kept me alive." She touched the metal frame. "Then keep it." He looked relieved. The offer came quietly, a chance to sell, to leave, to be done. Nathaniel declined. He downsized instead. Offices closer to ground, fewer gates, more doors. On a warm night, they sat on the porch, feet bare, listening to cicadas. Emma rested her head against his shoulder. "Do you regret marrying me?" she asked. He smiled, slow and honest. "I regret not telling you sooner." She considered that. "I regret believing I had no choice." They sat with that truth, letting it breathe. Inside, the house creaked, settling into something like peace. The future remained uncertain. Appeals, press, scars that don't fade on command. But Emma felt steady, chosen, choosing. She realized then that love wasn't revealed in grand gestures or sudden revelations. It lived in what remained after secrets were told and power was stripped bare. Emma closed her eyes, asking herself a question she wouldn't answer aloud. Was the marriage forced, or had it simply taken a longer road to become real? Emma woke to sunlight instead of alarms. The mansion no longer felt like a fortress. It felt lived in. Shoes by the door, a mug forgotten on the counter. Evidence of choice, not control. Nathaniel was already up. She found him in the kitchen, sleeves rolled, struggling with a stubborn jar. He looked up when she laughed. "You could ask for help," she said. "I could," he replied, then handed it to her anyway. She opened it easily and slid it back. Their fingers brushed. Neither pulled away. The days that followed were quieter, but not simple. Lawyers came and went. Lucas's name faded from headlines, then resurfaced in court filings. The company stabilized under new leadership. Nathaniel stepped back without vanishing this time. One afternoon, Emma packed a box from the West Corridor, old files, dust, the last artifacts of the lie. She paused with a framed photo she hadn't seen before. Nathaniel, younger, smiling without restraint, standing beside the wheelchair on a mountain overlook. He watched from the doorway. "That was after the accident," he said. "Before the fear learned me." She held the frame. "You don't have to erase it." "I know," he said. "I just don't want to live there." They donated the chair to a rehab center down the road. Emma drove it herself, hands steady. When she returned, the garage felt lighter, not emptier. That night, they dressed without hurry. No gala, no cameras. Just dinner at the small Italian place Emma loved, the one with chipped plates and a jukebox that played old songs too loud. Nathaniel held the door. Emma paid the bill. It felt right. On the walk home, she stopped under a streetlight. "If I'd said no," she asked, "that day at the courthouse, would you have let me?" "Yes," he said. No pause. No bargaining. She nodded, something settling deep. "Then I'm saying yes now." He didn't kneel. He didn't promise forever. He took her hand and waited. Emma thought of the pen that failed, the rules she learned, the moment she chose to stay without guarantees. She squeezed his fingers. They walked on, steps matching. The city hummed, indifferent and alive. Emma wondered, not with fear, but curiosity, whether love was ever about the beginning, or whether it was always about the moment you choose to keep going, knowing everything and deciding it's still worth it.